Let's take a case study to understand the trial balance more effectively. Here you have the balances. The following balances were extracted from the ledger of Mr. Rahul as on 31st March of a particular year. You are requested to prepare a trial balance on the day in the proper form. So here you have various accounts and the balances, right? You have various accounts like salary, sales, plant and machinery, so many here, and you have various like purchases, sundry debtors, and so on. So now you have to put all these balances in trial balance. So how you are going to do it? Trial balance is basically a statement which is going to, so I'll put it here. Trial balance is basically a statement which is going to list all the ledger balances. So it will list all the ledgers and its balances. Some may have debit balance, some may have credit balance, but it will list. So let's start one by one. Here the first item for us is salaries, and we'll assume salary is paid. It is paid to the employees. So salary paid is an expense, and expenses will have debit balance. So in trial balance this should appear on, or this balance should be shown on the debit column. If you recollect the format, trial balance will have particulars, a debit column and a credit column. So this salaries paid should appear on the debit column. Then the second item is sales. Sales is a real item, and what happens in sales? In sales, goods goes out, so debit what comes in, credit what goes out. So in sales what will happen is basically goods are going out, so it should be credited because it is basically a real account and item. The third one is plant and machinery is a real account item. So assuming the plant and machinery balance continues, so asset will have debit balance, so this will appear on debit side. Then you have commission paid is an expense, debit all expenses, that is the rule, so it will have debit balance. Then stock is an asset. Okay, stock is an asset, it's a real item, asset will have debit balances. Repairs is an expense, it will have debit balance. Sundry expense is an expense, so it will have debit balance. Return inward is nothing but sales return, so debit what comes in, so you should debit this, debit balance. Then discount allowed is an expense, it will have debit balance. Rents and rates are expenses, it will have debit balances. Purchases is a real account item, and purchase goods comes in, so it's a real account item and it will have debit balance. Sundry debtors is an asset and it's a personal account, right? So they have received the benefit, debit the receiver of benefit, personal account, so debit balance. Traveling expenses or expenses will have debit balance. Carriage inward, what is the nature? It is a nominal account, basically it's an expense, so it will have debit balance. Sundry creditors or personal account, they have given you the benefit, so credit the giver of benefit, so they'll have credit balance. Capital, basically it's a personal account, owner has given and owner has given you the benefit, so giver of benefit, credit. Drawings is also basically a personal account because it is the amount which is drawn by the owner, so debit the receiver of benefit, right? So drawings will have debit balances. Cash at bank is a real account, so debit what comes in, credit what goes out. So cash at bank, it's a real account, so it should have debit balances. Then you have return outward means goods are going out, so it's a real account item, debit what comes in, credit what goes out, so it should have credit balance. Then you have investments is a real account item and it should have debit balance. So let's check. We have various items, so we'll cross check them. So here is the format of trial balance. Okay, trial balance of Mr. Rahul as on the particular date, that is 31st March 2003. So you have serial number, name of the account, ledger folio, debit column and credit column, and here it is just an explanation column. This is what we discussed, that is we have to identify why an account is debit or credit. Basically they come under the classification of golden rules of accounting, that is either nominal, real or personal. So for that reasons, the accounts are either going to have debit balance or credit balance. So let's see. We started with salaries and sales. So here you have salaries debit balance, sales credit balance. So yes, salaries you have a debit balance and sales is having a credit balance. Then you have these items: plant and machinery, commission paid, stock, repairs, sundry expenses, returns inward, discount allowed, rent and rates, purchases. All these, or say even sundry debtors, traveling expenses, carriage inwards, up to here, say starting from this plant and machinery up to carriage inward, all are debit balances. So let's see them here. Yes, from plant and machinery till carriage inward, everything is appearing in the debit column, right? So till here all the balances have to be carried. Then we have sundry creditors, capital. These two items will have credit balances. So go to trial balance next to carriage inwards. Yes, sundry creditors and capital having credit balances. Then we talked about the remaining items, basically the drawings, cash at bank, return outwards and investments. These items are having credit balances. I'm sorry, these items are having debit balances, but in particular return outwards is having credit balance. So drawings, cash at bank and investments will have debit balances. So let's cross check. Yes, drawings, cash at bank and investments are having debit balances, whereas return outwards is having credit balance. So once we do all this, once we transfer all these balances to the statement, what we have to do is we have to do the total. We have to do the totaling of this debit column as well as the credit column, and if your trial balance is arithmetically accurate, it means the total of debit column will be equal to total of credit column. So here you have the total as 2,50,660 and the total of credit column is also 2,50,660. So in this way you can ensure that this trial balance is arithmetically accurate. Maybe we cannot give assurance whether it is fully in compliance with accounting principles and practices, but we can say it is arithmetically accurate.